The autumn rain, the ink runs red tonight. Perhaps it is blood. Perhaps only memory staining the page. I can no longer tell. The church is dying around me. Roof half collapsed, candles choking in their own wax. Outside, the rain falls like iron on the cobblestones, and every drop echoes the beating of a heart that no longer exists. I was a man once. I loved, I sinned, I dreamed of immortality, as all poets do, and then I met her. She had the smile of a saint and the hunger of a wolf. When she kissed me, the world fell away, and in that brief, breathless instant between pain and ecstasy, I understood. Death was not an ending. It was a door, and I was the fool who opened it. Now I write these words as the dawn creeps closer, the light that will burn away the last of me. If anyone should find this, know that monsters are not born. We are invited. From the last confession of the man who became the blood of the night. Paris, autumn, 1892. The rain fell in slow silver blades, slicing through the gaslight haze that wrapped the narrow streets of Montmartre. The air smelled of absinthe and dying roses. The hour was late, the hour when poets dream, lovers weep, and ghosts stir beneath the stones. I walked without purpose, my coat heavy with water and remorse. My boots struck the cobblestones in rhythm with the echo of my thoughts. Somewhere behind me, the city breathed a living, sighing beast, made of whispers and sins. It was the year the salons turned cruel. I had once been there, darling, Alexandre Gravieux, painter, poet, and fool. I had written verses about the beauty of death, painted lovers entwined beneath wilting lilies, up at art, like love, devours its worshippers. And when Éléonore died, the color fled from my world. I became a ghost, haunting the cafes of Montparnasse, surviving on cheap wine and borrowed pity. It was on one such night, the night I intended to end my life, that she found me. She stood at the mouth of a narrow alley, veiled in black silk, the rain sliding off her like she was carved from shadow itself. A single street lamp flickered above her, and in that tremulous light I saw her face, pale as the moon, lips red as the sign of memory. "Bonsoir, monsieur," she said, voice smooth and low, touched by an old, noble accent. "You walk as if chased by ghosts." I might have laughed if I still remembered how. "Perhaps I am the ghost." "Then it is my fortune to meet one," she replied, stepping closer. The air around her carried a scent, something of violets, of dust, of graves long forgotten. "Tell me, mon cher, do you seek to live ... or to die?" I looked at her through the curtain of rain. "Does it matter?" She smiled, a slow, terrible smile that revealed nothing and promised everything. "It matters only to those who have not tasted eternity." She took my hand. Her skin was cold, but her touch burned through me. I should have pulled away, but I didn't. There was music in her voice, like a requiem sung by angels who had fallen too far. "What is your name?" I asked. "You may call me Lilith Darkness," she said, her eyes glinting like obsidian mirrors. "And you, monsieur?" "You are Alexandre Gravieux. Oui. The poet who writes of death as though he has kissed it. I have kissed loss," I murmured. "Perhaps that is the same." She tilted her head, studying me. "Then perhaps death would love you in return." She led me through the alleys like a sleepwalker. We crossed the Seine under a bruised sky, past Notre Dame's silent gargoyles, until we reached the edge of the old quarter, a district that had long since fallen from the city's maps. Her home was an ancient mansion, half buried in ivy and silence. The gates creaked open like sighs from the grave. Inside, The air shimmered with candlelight, hundreds of flames trembling in crystal chandeliers. It felt like stepping into a dream painted by madness and desire. "Do you fear me, Alexander?" she asked, removing her gloves one finger at a time. "No," I said, and it was true. I feared nothing anymore. "Good," she whispered, stepping close enough that her breath brushed my lips. "Then you are ready." Her eyes caught the candlelight, not gold, not brown, but a deep, impossible crimson, like the heart of a dying sun. She reached up, touched my cheek with the tenderness of a lover, and in the same motion, her mouth brushed my throat. There was a pause, a breath, a heartbeat, then pain, white, searing, holy. Her fangs pierced like confession itself, and the world fell away. I remember the sensation not as pain, but as awakening. The blood left me in waves, each pulse stripping away memory, fear, and the taste of life. I saw colors I had no names for, shadows that glowed, darkness that burned. My hands trembled as if holding lightning. Somewhere I heard her whisper, "Drink deep, mon amour. Say goodbye to your life." My heart pounded once, twice, then stilled. The last thing I saw before the world went red was her eyes, full of sorrow and hunger, as she laid me down upon the cold marble floor. And then, nothing. When I awoke, it was still night. But it was a different night, sharper, deeper. The world breathed beneath my skin. I could hear the heartbeat of the city through the walls, thousands of lives pulsing like a symphony. The rain on the window sounded like applause from the dead. Lilith stood before me, her gown of black lace shimmering in the candlelight. "Welcome back, mon cher," she said. "You are among the living no longer. Taines, no ones de la nuit, eternal." I tried to speak, but my throat burned with hunger. My vision pulsed red. "What have you done to me?" I whispered. Her smile was both mercy and sin. "I have freed you." I staggered to the mirror, saw nothing but candlelight where my reflection should have been. "No, .. I breathed. "What am I?" Lilith's voice was a lullaby. "Kay, you are mine." The hunger came then, fierce, savage, overwhelming. I could hear the blood in her veins, smell it like perfume. The room tilted, filled with whispers. Lilith pressed a cool finger to my lips. "Patience, mon amour. The thirst is your birthright. You must learn to savor it." She drew closer, and for an instant, I thought she would let me drink from her. But instead, she kissed me a kiss, both tender and cruel, and the taste of her lips was enough to ignite the fire in my veins again. "Rest," she said softly. "The sun will rise soon. You will learn our ways when the night returns." She left me there, trembling in the dark, between death and eternity. Outside, the rain had stopped. The city held its breath. And within me, something ancient stirred, a hunger that would never sleep again. When I opened my eyes again, night had already fallen. At first, I thought I was blind. This chamber around me was drowned in darkness so pure it seemed alive. Then the dark began to breathe. Shadows unfolded themselves into form. The outlines of furniture, velvet curtains, a grand piano, 1,000 candles burning without flame. And her scent, that strange perfume of lilies, ash, and rain. Lilith stood near the window, her silhouette framed by the faintest glimmer of moonlight. She did not turn when she spoke. "Do you hear it, mon amour?" I listened. At first, there was only silence. Then, beneath it, a pulse, the city's heart. It's a drip of water in distant gutters. It's a whisper of rats beneath the floorboards. The ticking of a clock 3 rooms away. "I hear everything," I murmured. "Oui, She smiled without looking at me. That is the gift of your new birth. The world no longer hides its secrets from you. It screams them. She approached, her gown brushing against the floor like smoke. I could see her clearly now. Her beauty was unbearable, almost wrong, too perfect, as if sculpted by a god who had grown tired of mercy. Last night you died, Alexander, she said softly. Atin, you are reborn. She led me through the corridors of her mansion, a labyrinth of mirrors that reflected nothing, corridors heavy with dust and perfume. Portraits lined the walls, noblemen, poets, saints, all painted with eyes that followed us as we passed. Who are they? Eyes. Those who came before you, she replied. My companions, my lovers, my children. All of them thought themselves damned until eternity taught them that damnation is only another word for freedom. We entered a vast hall where the ceiling was painted with angels devouring stars. The marble floor reflected the flicker of the candelabras in spectral gold. Drink, she said, gesturing to a glass goblet resting on a silver tray. Its contents glowed darkly in the candlelight. She smiled. Blood, mon cher, taken from a willing one. You must feed, or the thirst will consume your mind. I stared at the goblet, teasing, intoxicating. 'Twas not just hunger, it was longing, the kind that once made men write sonnets or go to war. My hands trembled as I lifted it. Its first sip burned like liquid sunlight through my veins. As the world sharpened, every sound, every motion suddenly too real. I could feel the heartbeats of the city, the blood coursing through stone, the breath of eternity pressing against my skin. When I lowered the glass, my lips were trembling. Is this ... what I am now? Lilith came closer, her eyes glinting like the edge of a blade. What you are, Alexander, is truth. We sat by the great window as the night deepened. Paris stretched beneath us, a kingdom of gaslight and sin. I could see everything. Lovers in shadowed courtyards, beggars sleeping under bridges. The faint glow of absinthe cafes, where men recited poetry to the edge of despair. You said I am one of les enfants de la nuit, eternal, I said. Tell me what that means. She leaned back, folding her hands like a queen giving judgment. We are the first children of freedom, she said, born when man still feared the dark. Once, I was mortal. I begged for beauty, for love, for power, and I found a God who offered me all three. But gods are cruel, and their gifts always cost too much. Her eyes drifted to the window. He called it Le Pacte du Sang, the blood covenant. A union between the divine and the damned. I became eternal, yes, but also empty. And so I filled the emptiness with others like me. And how many have you made? She looked at me then, and for a heartbeat I saw sorrow, deep and ancient. Enough to fill the silence, she said, but never enough to kill it. As the night waned, she began to teach me what it meant to exist in darkness. We could move unseen, faster than the human eye could follow. We could command beasts of the night, sense life as a fragrance, fear as a flavor, a tree. We could love without touch and kill without hate. But there were laws, three that must never be broken, never feed from the unwilling. We are predators, not butchers, she said. Beauty dies when it is taken by force. Never walk beneath the sun. Its light remembers God, and He has not forgiven us. Never forget who you were. That is the cruelest commandment of all. For it is memory that keeps us human, and memory that will destroy you. Later, she took me to the balcony overlooking the sleeping city. The wind carried the faint hum of carriages and distant laughter. Look, she said, resting her hand on mine. All of them, the dreamers, the sinners, the saints, they live believing they are alive. But we, mon cher Alexandre, we know the truth. Life begins only after death. Her gaze caught mine, hypnotic, endless. Do you still regret your choice? I hesitated. I never chose. She smiled faintly. You will learn that choice is an illusion. All souls that crave eternity find their way to me eventually. I turned away, my eyes drawn to the city below. Somewhere, in a window not far from here, I saw a flicker of golden light. A woman's shadow passed across the glass, slender, graceful, familiar. Éléonore. The name hit me like a heartbeat. I had not spoken it since the night she was buried. What is it? Lilith asked softly. I shook my head, though the ache inside me throbbed like an open wound. Nothing, I whispered. Only ... a memory. Careful, mon amour, she said. Memories are dangerous for our kind. But she did not stop me when I stepped back from her touch, eyes still fixed on that window where light flickered like a pulse. And as the night surrendered to the first gray shimmer of dawn, I felt it begin, the hunger not just for blood, but for the life I had lost. Days passed, or perhaps weeks. Time had lost its meaning. In Lilith's house, clocks were ornaments, not instruments. The candles never burned lower, the mirrors never gathered dust. I changed. The hunger grew like a second heart within me. It beat not for love, nor art, nor meaning, only for blood. Every sound was a temptation. Footsteps in the street below, a sigh through a wall, the whisper of a pulse. Lilith watched me with quiet amusement, as if my torment were a sonnet she had heard recited many times. You fight it, she said one evening, lounging upon a chaise draped in crimson silk. Why? Because I remember what it is to be human. She laughed softly, the sound of silver breaking. Mon cher, humanity is a fever. It burns, it passes, it leaves you weak. You will thank me when it is gone, but I did not want it gone. Without it, who was I? A ghost, feeding on ghosts. That night, I left her mansion before sunset, slipping through the catacombs beneath Montparnasse, and emerging into the city as the first stars rose. Paris glimmered like a jeweled corpse, every street alive with laughter and deceit. I walked unseen among them, the living, smelling their warmth, their fear, their fragile joy. A child's laughter stabbed my heart. A woman's perfume sent tremors through my veins. And then, in a moment that felt both chance and destiny, I saw her, Éléonore. She was crossing the Pont Neuf beneath a pale moon, her black shawl drawn close against the cold. She carried sheet music under her arm, but I could almost hear the notes whispering between the pages. Her hair had grown longer, the color of chestnuts steeped in dusk. I followed her. Of course I did. The streets narrowed as she turned toward the Latin Quarter, where music spilled from taverns and the air tasted of smoke and rain. I kept to the shadows, my footsteps silent, my eyes devouring every detail of her. How could she still walk the earth while I had been banished from it? When she stopped at a corner cafe, I lingered behind the wrought iron fence, watching through the misted glass. She sat alone, sipping coffee, humming softly, a melody I once wrote for her. It struck me like lightning. She still remembered me, and with that realization came the hunger's voice. It's her, or you die. I closed my eyes, fighting it. The thirst surged up my throat like fire. Her pulse echoed in my skull, a rhythm older than any song. Every breath she took fed the storm inside me. When she left the cafe, I followed again, across quiet streets gleaming with rain. She turned down an alley lined with shuttered shops, the lamps flickering in protest of the wind. Then she stopped, and without turning, she said, softly, "Alexander." The sound of my name in her voice broke me. She turned, her eyes met mine, and for a heartbeat, I forgot I was dead. Éléonore. Her lips parted, trembling. "They said you were gone." "I am," I said, "and yet I cannot leave." She took a step closer. "You look the same." "I am not." A gust of wind passed between us, carrying the scent of her warm skin, rain, and the faint sweetness of fear. The hunger roared. My vision reddened. "Why are you here?" she asked. "To remember," I whispered. To forget." Her eyes filled with tears. "You're cold." She reached out, and when her hand brushed mine, I shuddered. Her heartbeat thundered against my senses. The voice returned. "It's her. Or you die." "Go," I said hoarsely. "Please." "You must go." I don't understand, but I did not let her finish. I fled, faster than wind, vanishing into the labyrinth of Paris before the beast within could win. I returned to Lilith at dawn, covered in shadows. She was waiting by the grand piano, her fingers tracing silent notes across ivory keys. "You saw her," she said simply. "How did you—" "I smell guilt," she interrupted, smiling faintly. "It clings to you like perfume. I will not harm her." Lilith rose, crossing the room with the grace of falling ash. "Q cannot protect what you crave, mon amour. The thirst does not forgive mercy. I can resist it." Her laughter was soft, pitying. "All of us think so, at first." She touched my cheek, her nails cold as glass. "One night soon, you will find her again. And when you do, you will understand that love and hunger are the same prayer." That day, as I hid from the rising sun behind velvet curtains, I dreamt of Éléonore, but in the dream, her eyes were crimson. She smiled with blood on her lips. And I woke with tears that were not tears at all, but crimson streaks that stained the pillow like confession. The thirst had found her name, and it would never let her go. The nights that followed blurred together, hunger and guilt dancing a waltz I could not escape. Lilith called it the Dark Symphony. I called it damnation. I avoided Éléonore, but her name followed me in every whisper of blood that reached my ears. I began walking the city after midnight, through the places where the living feared to go, the slaughterhouses, the catacombs, the graveyards where the poor were buried without candles. Told myself I was hunting beasts, not people. Ativons began to taste of ash. Atis. One evening, I found another of Lilith's kind, a young vampire named Lucien Valcourt. He had been turned only a decade before me, still half mad with the beauty of the night. We met by accident, both stalking the same narrow street near Père Lachaise. "You are new," he said, eyes gleaming like silver under the moon. "I can smell the mortal in you, and I can smell the arrogance in you," I replied. He laughed. "Then we are brothers." He was reckless, feeding openly, laughing as he vanished before witnesses could scream. I despised him, yet I followed. There was something magnetic about his defiance, the ease with which he embraced what I feared to name. That night, he took me to the outskirts of the city, to a cemetery overgrown with ivy and silence. "Here," he said, spreading his arms, "is the kingdom of our kind. Living build their walls, but we own the spaces between their dreams." He leaped onto a marble tomb, his eyes blazing. "Do you still pretend you can live without it?" "I will not kill the innocent," I said. He grinned. "Then you will die twice." Before I could answer, the first edge of dawn touched the sky. The horizon flared with an impossible gold. Lucien hissed, retreating under the trees. Murd, he spat. We lingered too long. The sunlight crept faster than I imagined, pouring through the leaves like molten glass. We ran, shadows chasing shadows, our breaths smoke and fear. Lucien reached a gate and threw it open. It groaned like a dying throat. Beyond lay a forgotten mausoleum, its stone doors half broken, its name erased by time. Inside, he shouted. We dove into the blackness as the first true rays of morning fell upon the graveyard. The light grazed my coat. I felt it burn like fire against my skin. Inside the mausoleum, the air was thick with centuries of dust. We collapsed against the cold stone, panting though we no longer needed air. Lucien laughed again, half crazed. Close call, Monfreya. The sun loves to remind us what we are. I said nothing. My veins were on fire, the near-death, the scent of blood in the wind, the memory of Éléonore's heartbeat, all of it fused into one terrible hunger. Lucien watched me. His smile faded. You haven't fed in days, have you? I can manage. He shook his head. No one can. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver flask. He opened it. The scent hit me like lightning. Blood, warm, fresh. He drank first, then offered it to me. Take it, he said. Or the next thing you taste will be your own madness. I stared at it. My hands trembled. Whose is it? Does it matter? I pushed it away. Cued it to me. Lucien sighed, closing the flask. Then your conscience will kill you before the sun does. He leaned back, eyes closing. Wake me when the night returns. I did not answer. Time moved slowly inside that tomb. The silence was absolute, broken only by the faint drip of rainwater from the ceiling. I sat in the corner, staring at the faint crack of light beneath the stone door. Daylight, waiting to burn. The hunger came in waves, sharp and electric. It filled my mouth with the taste of metal, my mind with whispers. When the sun finally died beyond the horizon, I rose, shaking. Lucien stirred, yawning like a satiated beast. Night again. We live another day, but I was not listening. Through the cracks in the tomb I heard something, footsteps above, a woman's voice calling softly. A name carried on the wind, Éléonore. I froze. Lucien frowned. Who calls? I moved to the door. No one you need to know. He grinned. Ah, la belle mortelle. I can smell her. You still dream of her, don't you? Stay away from her. He laughed. He'll break all 3 laws before the century is done, brother. I did not wait for him to finish. I tore the door open and stepped into the night. The graveyard was soaked in moonlight, every tomb a ghostly monument. And there she was, Éléonore, standing near a cluster of graves, clutching a lantern. Her eyes searched the dark. Alexandre, she whispered. Are you here? I wanted to answer, to tell her to leave. But my voice had vanished, drowned beneath the hunger that surged like a storm. Her heartbeats thundered in my ears, but her scent filled me like wine. She took another step. I dreamt of you, she said softly. Every night since you vanished. Her words shattered me. The beast within me howled. I stumbled forward, shaking. You shouldn't have come. She turned, saw me, and gasped. Alexandre, ... Your eyes, please, I whispered. Go. I can't, but she came closer. You look ill. Let me help you. Her hand brushed my cheek, but the warmth of her skin burned through me. And in that touch, every promise I had made to myself collapsed. The thirst roared. I tried to step back, but my body betrayed me. My arms caught her, pulled her close. She gasped, but did not fight. For a moment, I held her as I once did, her head against my chest, her hair brushing my lips. Then instinct took over. My mouth found her throat, a heartbeat, a whisper, then teeth. Her cry was soft, almost a sigh as the world around us dissolved into darkness and ecstasy. Her blood filled me like the first breath of creation. Fire, light, sorrow, eternity, all in one impossible rush. I drank until the stars wept. When I let her go, she was pale as moonlight, eyes half open, her lips curved in something like forgiveness. I fell to my knees beside her, her name breaking against my tongue. Éléonore. Lucien appeared at the edge of the graves, watching. His voice was cold. Welcome home, Frere. You've finally learned what we are. He turned away, leaving me in the silence of the dead. I pressed my hand to her heart. It was still. No heartbeat. No salvation. Only the whisper of the night wind through the graves, carrying the last echo of her voice. You'll thank me someday. And perhaps she was right. But in that moment, kneeling beside what remained of my soul, I understood at last the truth of immortality. We do not live forever. We simply die slowly. Centuries have passed, or perhaps only one endless night. Time no longer speaks to me in years, but in heartbeats I can no longer hear. Paris has changed 1,000 times. The gaslight gave way to electricity. The carriages became machines that roar through the veins of the city. Yet every century smells the same when the rain falls, iron and memory. I walk its streets, still, not as Alexandre Gravieux the poet, but as a shadow stitched to its cobblestones. People pass through me like dreams. Lovers hold each other beneath neon light, never knowing the ghost who watches, aching for what he destroyed. Éléonore's grave is gone, paved over, forgotten, but her name survives inside me. It beats where my heart should be. I found Lilith again in the winter of 1914. Paris was burning under a different war then, and the night hid more monsters than ever. She appeared in the ruins of a cathedral, wearing a soldier's coat, her eyes unchanged. Still mourning, mon cher? She asked. I will mourn until the sun forgives us, she smiled. Then you will mourn forever. I turned from her, but she took my hand. Do you see now? There is no guilt. No grace, it's only the endless hunger and the beauty it brings. You were born for this. Born, no, made. Her voice softened. And what is the difference? I had no answer. She kissed my cheek, a cold benediction, and vanished into the fog of war, leaving me alone with the ruins and the screams of men who still believed in death. Years bled into years. I crossed oceans. I watched empires rise and rot, when I must, wept when I could, wrote nothing. Sometimes I dreamed of sunlight, though I had forgotten its warmth. In those dreams, Éléonore stood by the river, smiling, her bloodless hands outstretched. When I tried to touch her, she dissolved into crimson mist, whispering, "You'll thank me someday." Perhaps I have, for I have learned that immortality is not a blessing or a curse. It is simply a mirror. It shows you what you love, and then it shows you how it dies. Tonight, I have returned to where it began, the old chapel on the hill. It is a ruin now, half swallowed by ivy, its stained glass shattered into stars of color on the floor. The wind moves through the broken arches like the breath of some forgotten god. I sit at a wooden desk, ink staining the page like old blood. Outside, the rain falls again, autumn rain, the same as the night she found me. I write because it is the only act that still feels human. I write because memory is the last thing I refuse to kill. Through the cracked door, Dawn glimmers, faint, merciless. Soon the light will find me, and the ashes of Alexandre Gravieux will drift among the dust and the prayers of this ruined church. But before it does, I leave these words behind for whoever finds them. Do not seek eternity. It is not a gift. It is a wound that never closes. We are not angels fallen nor demons risen. We are the silence between heartbeats, the moment after desire, before regret. And yet, I would taste it all again, for one heartbeat, for one kiss, for the blood of the night. The sun breaks the horizon. Light crawls across the altar, touches my hands, tease. It burns soft at first, then mercifully complete. Somewhere, far away, I think I hear Lilith's voice, singing like a mother to her child. Or perhaps it is Éléonore's. They sound the same now. The ink runs red. The page curls in the heat. The date. And then nothing but light.